Am I the butthole for how I responded to a senior HR member accusing me of taking drugs at work? Background: I have diagnosed bipolar disorder. I've been on medication over a year and it's the best damn decision I've ever made. That being said, I have a tendency to go off my meds when I'm manic. It's not fun when the meds wean out of my system and I go nuts. In order to not sabotage myself, I take my meds every day at 11 a.m. It helps me settle myself for the rest of the day, and keeps me on a strict schedule. Incident: my workplace has shifted online fully. We had a Zoom call yesterday with HR to update everybody on COVID measures going forward for the upcoming quarter, and it was about 30 or so people on the call. HR has been anal retentive about people keeping their videos on throughout the meeting. Nobody is allowed to move out of the screen. The meeting began at 9 a.m. 11 a.m. comes around and my alarm buzzes to remind me about the medication. I moved slightly out of frame and took them while still on the call. I didn't think anybody noticed, but apparently the senior HR person we'll call Q did. The meeting wraps up at 12 noon, and as we're all getting ready to sign off, Q tells me to stay behind after everybody leaves, in front of them. I found that unprofessional but held my tongue. Q then launched on this long diatribe about how I'm setting a hostile work environment by taking my meds during work hours, that I'm being neglectful of my duties, and that I'm ruining my body with them. When I finally got a chance to respond, I said that the drugs I'm taking are prescription medication, and that I failed to see how the 5 seconds it takes me to take them is creating a hostile work environment. I said that my medical history is none of their business, and since they have failed to demonstrate any real harm in the situation, I didn't feel like this discussion was warranted. Q looked like they'd swallowed sour milk and told me they'd be writing me up and that I was officially being warned for my behavior. I saw red, and right after the call ended, sent an email to the head of HR, summarizing the conversation and refuting the warning/write-ups. I stated the relevant legal protections accorded to employees in such situations and that I hoped R would address this fairly. R looked into the matter and I learned later that Q had been suspended without pay. A bunch of my co-workers caught on to what happened, and are now making it very difficult to work with them. Apparently Q was a popular person in the office and they felt that complaining to the head of HR was taking it too far. This entire situation feels utterly surreal and I can't think of any reason why I'd be the butthole, but I'm facing an uncomfortable work situation and want to know if I need to apologize and smooth things over. If Q had behaved appropriately, they would never have gotten suspended. It's probably worth noting to the higher-ups that this report got spread, which is creating a hostile work environment for you. NTA. They didn't catch on. Q told them. And if he did, and original post can prove it, they can let HR know about the situation and tell them it's creating a hostile work environment. And I'm sorry, popularity shouldn't be a free pass to be an a-hole. I mean, is this a professional workplace full of responsible professionals, or a high school full of immature teens? Raised eyebrow. 1000% agree. HR is never allowed to share complaints from employees like this. It is a fireable offense in any reasonable company. I would expect that filing a second complaint against Q for spreading the first complaint around would result in Q being terminated, not simply suspended. Please do report this. Do not let them walk on you. It's not tattletailing or anything like that. It's the mature way to handle things, as Q seems to have aggressive behaviors. There is nothing wrong, and in fact it's good to talk to HR, as it is their duty to protect you and others from issues like this. You may not be the only one, so you could be benefiting others who feel like they can't speak up. You should be proud of defending yourself so well. Don't let those who can't be mature enough to see the truth affect you in any way. You know what's right. You may not be the only one. I agree with everything you said, but this specifically, people don't get suspended without pay if they made a mistake, in this case mishandling an HR case by overreacting. Any reasonable company would have given a warning first, then following that with a suspension if further altercations happen. This HR guy has definitely had at least one complaint in the recent past already, and was probably on probation. Since he's management, he was suspended instead of fired. Edit. A lot of people have made comments disagreeing with my take, and I have to say that I don't disagree with them. They bring up a lot of good points. I'll take that into consideration next time. Thanks for the clarity, everyone. I assumed Q was female until this comment when I went back to read gender wasn't specified lol. I agree. Also possible that Q got suspended for spreading it and the game of telephone is just anti-op. Or perhaps Q was belligerently insisting that they were right instead of treating it as an opportunity to improve for their position. Perhaps the suspension is only while their legal investigates and reports on liability and Q is soon to be fired, or simply all employees at that level get the same treatment when there is a complaint made until a resolution is found, who knows. No matter what really happened, only Q is responsible for the consequences of their actions. She's a hypersensitive bully that brings personal issues to her job at the detriment of others. She doesn't even fathom how inappropriate/illegal it is to deal with employees' private health. Really? I read it as it was a dude. Huh. Op, not Q. Q could be an asexual hermaphroditic warthog, for all I care. This is a senior HR person, not just a general manager. This person is responsible for holding HR standards. This is basic HR 101 here, and they didn't just mess up and accidentally make a mistake. This is something in their role that should have been a given, probably something they are responsible for teaching to others in their organization. This is a horrible violation on many levels. I don't think it's surprising for them to be suspended with no prior history. Not that there couldn't be a prior history, but this is a big deal. The write-up was also an AITA violation. Q could have gotten the company in a lot of legal trouble. I wonder how OM would respond to this post. I think even an amoeba would know that Q was playing with AITA fire. Agreed. Q is lucky they weren't fired. What huge potential lawsuit they opened the company up to. Any reasonable person is not even going to give a warning if you explain a situation like this to them, no matter what it is. If Q, or anyone really, would not have had the same reaction to someone taking an insulin injection, then they are in the wrong. It sounds like she was respectful and tried to look like she wasn't just popping pills. She explained her reasoning behind the situation and that person still wanted to write her up. Person shrugging. Why do people get so offended by pill bottles? In my experience in America, mental health is apparently super effing offensive to some people for some reason. We have developed this effed up culture of not acknowledging their real things. I cannot begin to tell you how many times I've talked to people about being on them and their answer was, try harder, just be happy, eat better, have you tried exercise, maybe you need to go outside more, you just need to be positive, lots of people have it worse than you. Like any of that is going to magically correct a chemical imbalance in my brain. Mental illnesses are hidden illnesses, so people are more inclined to treat you like garbage for them. Literally, if someone would not say the same thing to someone who needed insulin or a kidney, they have no right to say it to you and are just a butthole. I had somebody tell me it was probably my anti-rejection meds causing my corneal transplant to reject, and I needed to stop taking all meds because chemicals and start taking natural alternatives. People are stupid. Yeah, it's definitely going to be a huge issue if the person who's all into your pills finds out they're psych meds. They're just nosy know-it-alls, and others just want to be offended to cover the guilt of being a bigot. I'm sure a decent number of pill phobics work in hospitals too. Except mental health meds look exactly the same as meds for anything else. TBH, depending on which manufacturer the pharmacy used, I can't tell my antidepressant apart from my blood pressure med at all without reading the bottle label, which isn't huge text or anything. He's more than likely had more than one. Any place I've worked at, suspension without pay is more a third strike thing. As in next time it's termination. And to be frank, it's actually harder to fire lower level workers than management. Management is held to higher standards and as such are on shorter leashes. As management, I can be fired for using the wrong phrase words, yet I've had workers literally put in the middle of their shift and not come back for 2 days and still were unable to fire them because of the paperwork trail required to do so without legal repercussions. However, I agree with what everyone says and it needs a further report. It was a private conversation between Q and original post and then a private email. There should be nothing to catch on to. All the other workers should know is that Q will be absent for a few days. The fact that co-workers know he's suspended and that it's Op's fault means that Q is spreading the story. Huge violation in the HR world. No one but the parties involved should ever have knowledge of reports or write-ups. As someone who's done HR, Q's behavior would mortify me as a person and terrify me as a professional because hello lawsuit. Op is so not the butthole. It is their duty to protect you and others from issues like this, no? Their duty is to protect the company from legally actionable problems that may arise from situations like this. It is still the right way to go, but don't think HR serves you. Edit. As has been pointed out, yes, HR can help you and you should follow process, as I stated. But document everything and get as much in writing as possible. Just because they are helpful now doesn't mean that the situation can't change. Right, but in cases like this, the easiest way to avoid a lawsuit is to protect the employees. HR most definitely doesn't serve the employees and is 100% to protect the employer against lawsuit. Both I see as true. I'm in UK, so maybe slightly different. Yes, HR is there to protect the company from lawsuit/rep damage from improper behavior. But part and parcel of that is that if they don't uphold the minimum standards to everyone, sort of like a duty of care, then they aren't doing that job right at all. I do think they seek to protect the organization first though. Which is why they were suspended. Q left them open to a lawsuit. Sometimes interests align. There probably are more people who Q has had issues with, but they won't say anything while Q still has a job. HR's duty is to the company and they protect it from lawsuits, so in this case, it's in their best interest to work with Original Post. I agree, and I'd guess if HR went all the way to suspension this time, Q has definitely done this, or something like it before. His entire job is to know what can and cannot be done. If there was a concern about you taking something, there are a million different ways for him to address it which would have been well inside the law. He chose not to, so tough luck to him. I'm sorry, but I have to say you are 100% wrong. It is not HR's duty to protect you, it is HR's duty to protect the company. Yeah, a bunch of my coworkers caught on to what happened, and are now making it very difficult to work with them. It's actually illegal retaliation. Original Post should report this to HR as well. You don't get many rights as a worker in the US, so you may as well use them when you can. NTA, Q was shockingly unprofessional and out of line. Actually surprised they got suspended though, but I think I'm just used to crafty HR departments not doing anything. Also, a hostile work environment is an HR member calling you out to talk privately in front of your coworkers. Honestly, I think the only reason Q got suspended was because I brought up legal provisions. That'll do it. Words that start with L are very scary to HR, legal, lawyer, lawsuit. Lesbians. As a former lesbian, I can confirm this as well. Former? LOL meant to clarify before the homophobes pile on, I'm a fab non-binary/trans but used to it as a lesbian. Makes sense. You are a consummate sapphic soul. A fab equals assigned female at birth for those who didn't know, like me. I honestly misread and thought they were saying absolutely fabulous. Fab. Oops. Very possible they are that as well. A fab. At first, I read this as a fab as in fabulous. I was like, right on, girl. That's how I say it out loud. Phew. For some dark reason my mind went to all females are bad a la cob. Need to get off of r/bad_cop_no_donut. It is warping my acronym recognition system, Reddit link. There's an acronym I am not a lawyer over on the legal subs. To me a while to start thinking of it as I am not a lawyer and not as I anal. This made me giggle, thank you. Ha. Thanks for the laugh. Also, I'm pretty sure it's also a problem if people are retaliating against you for making an HR report, not a lawyer, but that's illegal, right? It should be, so maybe HR should be addressing that too. It is. I literally just did a training yesterday that covers retaliation in a hostile work environment and how it should be documented and reported immediately because employees are protected from such acts under certain laws in the US. Yep. This right here. NTA unbelievable. You did the right thing. It wasn't Q's soapbox to get on, and it doesn't matter what the medication was for. It was a prescribed medication meant to be taken at a certain time. That's all Q needs to know, and, frankly, Q doesn't even need to know that much. Replace bipolar disorder with any other medical condition, diabetes, heart condition, and it is just outrageous behavior. I think Q may have suspected this is a mental disorder prescription because I have certain disability accommodations. I'm at a loss on how to deal with this. I really think I might have to start looking for other jobs, and in the middle of a global pandemic, this market is utter crap. If you are currently work from home, that will help buffer you a bit. My guess if Q has done this quite often before, hence the harsh punishment. I also suspect Q has surrounded themselves with a bunch of followers. If it keeps up while is gone, can you ask for a transfer? You are not at fault. Don't entertain, confirm or deny the gossips. I think so. One of the members of my team socializes with Q often as they both have kids in the same class. Edit, the work from home buffer is both a blessing and a curse. The latter because they're now suddenly unavailable to meet with me on group projects and I just get assigned crap work. Retaliation, which is exactly what you're describing, for reporting workplace harassment is in fact also illegal and very much worth reporting. Because FM. Presumably everyone there is an adult who should know better and not a bunch of children. Any repercussions that come their way are entirely their own fault. Dang, how did I skip that part? This is total retaliation and is punishable as well. Thanks for pointing this out. I mean, the only reason it's fresh in my mind is because I recently had to do my yearly training for my job, which of course includes a bit on workplace harassment, along with HIPAA guidelines and active shooter training, because we live in a dystopia. Lola bit at the active shooter training. Do they do personalized training for all our houses? What if my 13-year comes out with a Nerf machine gun in the middle of a meeting? Duck and cover? Shoot back? I need to know. It's just a video discussing what you should do. Step 1, run. Step 2, hide and help anyone around you hide. Step 3, wait for law enforcement but also be prepared with a plan if the shooter finds you. I work for a hospital, so there's also a bunch of stuff about helping patients hide and barricading doors with hospital beds and equipment. Thank you for watching. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube. And share them with your friends. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. We welcome your comments below. Another of our videos will begin shortly.